My name is Emily Parker, and I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who ruins her own marriage with just one sentence. But that's exactly what I did. It was a chilly Friday evening in Denver, Colorado, and my husband Daniel had just come home after working overtime. He looked tired, worn down, his shirt wrinkled, and his eyes heavy. I was already frustrated that night. The sink was full of dishes, the laundry wasn't folded, and my job at the marketing firm had drained every ounce of my patience. So when he walked in late again, my anger boiled over. "You'll never be good enough, Daniel," I snapped, my voice sharp and cold. He stopped in his tracks, his hands still holding his briefcase. For a long moment, he just stared at me. His face didn't twist in anger, and he didn't shout back. Instead, his eyes clouded with something far worse: disappointment. "Okay," he whispered. Then he set his briefcase down, grabbed a small duffel bag from the closet, and began packing. I thought he was bluffing. I thought he just needed to cool down. But by the end of the night, Daniel was gone, and with him, he took the life we had built together. To understand why those words destroyed him, you need to know our history. I met Daniel in college at the University of Colorado. I was a sophomore studying communications. He was a senior majoring in engineering. He wasn't the loudest, flashiest guy on campus, but he had this quiet determination about him. While other guys spent weekends at parties, Daniel was always working, tutoring, interning, or studying late at the library. I liked that about him. He was steady, dependable, and kind. When he finally asked me out after weeks of sitting together in the campus cafe, I said yes without hesitation. Our first date wasn't anything glamorous. We went to a little pizza place off campus. But that night, as he listened to me ramble about my dreams of working in advertising, he looked at me like every word mattered, like I mattered. And for years after that, I never doubted his love for me. We married 3 years later, in a small ceremony surrounded by friends and family. Daniel worked hard as an engineer, while I climbed the ladder in my marketing career. We bought a modest house with a white fence, and everyone said we were the perfect couple. But what people didn't see were the cracks. Daniel wasn't a natural romantic. He wasn't the type to surprise me with flowers or take me on extravagant trips. Instead, his love showed up in quieter ways: fixing my car without being asked, staying up late to help me practice a work presentation, or making sure I always had my morning coffee. But as time went on, I began comparing him to other men. My coworkers bragged about their husbands buying them jewelry or flying them to Paris for anniversaries. And I started to wonder if maybe I had settled for steady when I should have held out for grand. That's where the poison started. Over the years, I started nitpicking. If he forgot to take the trash out, I'd sigh dramatically. If he brought home takeout instead of cooking, I'd roll my eyes. If he worked late, I accused him of not prioritizing me. The truth is, Daniel wasn't perfect. He worked too much, sometimes forgot details, and wasn't great at expressing his feelings. But instead of appreciating the man who gave me stability and loyalty, I fixated on everything he wasn't. I wanted more romance, more money, more attention. And that's when the sentence came out of my mouth. That night, when Daniel stood in the doorway, hearing me say the words, "You'll never be good enough," something broke inside him. I could see it in his eyes. For years, he had been trying, working overtime to pay the mortgage, fixing up the house, saving for the future. He wasn't flashy, but he gave everything he had. And in one careless moment, I told him it wasn't enough. When he packed his bag and left, I thought he'd be back in the morning. After all, couples fight. People say things they don't mean. But Daniel didn't come back. Days turned into weeks. My calls went unanswered. My texts were left on read. Finally, after 2 months, I got a letter in the mail. It was from Daniel's lawyer. He wanted a divorce. I stared at the paper, my hands trembling. Divorce? After 7 years of marriage? Over one fight? But deep down, I knew it wasn't just one fight. It was years of me making him feel like he wasn't enough, years of comparisons, years of me overlooking the love he had always given. And that one sentence was the final straw. The divorce went through in less than 6 months. Daniel moved into a small apartment downtown. I later heard he had started dating someone new, a woman named Rachel, a nurse he met through mutual friends. I should have been angry. I should have told myself that he moved on too quickly. But when I saw them together, laughing, smiling, holding hands, I realized something devastating. He looked happier with her than he had ever looked with me. And I only had myself to blame. Now, 3 years later, I sit alone in the same house we once shared. The walls are quiet, the room's empty, and the silence suffocating. Every time I wash dishes, I remember the night I said those words. Every time I fold laundry, I think of how he used to help without being asked. Every time I hear about him through friends, I feel the sting of regret. Because the truth is, Daniel was good enough. He was more than enough. I was the one who failed. If I could go back in time, I would never let those words leave my lips. I would tell him every day how much I appreciated the small things, the quiet acts of love, the sacrifices he made, the stability he gave me. But regret doesn't rewrite history. So instead, I share this story as a warning. Don't let comparisons steal your gratitude. Don't let careless words destroy what someone has built with love. Because sometimes, you don't realize what you had until it's gone. A few months ago, I saw Daniel again. It was at a grocery store. He was with Rachel, and they were holding hands, laughing about something on the shopping list. He noticed me. For a brief second, our eyes met. I opened my mouth to say something, to apologize, to explain, to beg. But he just gave me a polite nod and walked away. That was the moment I finally understood. When I told him he'd never be good enough, I wasn't describing him. I was describing myself. Because he was always good enough. And I was the one who failed to see it.